This time last year, there was a UFO report made where a teenage boy reported to the police that there were two huge alien figures stood in his back garden after a UFO crashed in his backyard. Now, the whole thing went absolutely viral because there was body cam footage from the police seeing this stuff. There was ring footage. There was this guy's testimony, obviously. He made a whole YouTube video about it. It was insane. And we're going to be covering it in today's video because there have been some developments a year on. Now, in case you aren't aware of the incident thus far, here is the footage of the initial UFO sighting.
On April 30th, skywatchers across several western states saw a bright fireball streak through the heavens. A police officer working in the Northwest Valley caught a glimpse of the colorful object on his body cam. At nearly the same time, a Ring camera in the area recorded a strange noise and what sounds like a crash. One family living in a ranch-style home had a much closer view of the object. Two brothers and their father were working on a vehicle in their yard when they caught a glimpse of a sparkly object as it came crashing down, then were hit by what they describe as a shockwave. One of the witnesses, a young man named Angel, has stated when the brothers looked into the yard where the object landed, that spot was obscured and blurry, as if by unknown form of camouflage. What they saw next prompted a frantic call to 911.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
8 News Now investigators have spoken with family members multiple times in the past 4 weeks, but each of the 3 times we accepted their invitation to do an interview, they didn't answer the door or their phone. These are some of the claims they've made in other public forums. Multiple family members backed up the story in an initial police report we obtained. Angel says they heard the patter of multiple feet in the yard. They later heard footsteps on their roof. They saw one of the 8-foot-tall creatures climb behind the controls of a large front loader stored in the yard as if trying to engage it. He got a good look at one of the creatures, he said, a greenish-grayish being with large eyes and long legs. He says he could hear its deep breaths, and when he locked eyes, he was, in essence, frozen in place, couldn't move. In the middle of the yard, where the object had crashed, then vanished, a circular impression was left in the soil.
Okay, where is this on your property?
Metro sources say the police dispatcher initially wondered whether to send a crisis intervention team to help the troubled witness, but then took the incident seriously. 2 officers arrived 38 minutes after the call, and by then had heard from other officers. They proceeded cautiously and managed some nervous laughs.
I ain't dealing with that.
A few days later, the family says 2 Metro sergeants returned to the scene to ask follow-up questions. The family says they also saw men in suits and sunglasses driving in a car with government plates cruising slowly past the house in the following days. Nellis and Creech have denied any interest or involvement with the incident. Metro has indicated they believe the family that something crashed in their yard. But what?
Now, this is where the whole thing got absolutely wild because it was huge. This obviously came out around the same time as David Grush as well, so everyone was talking about this, everybody. And like I say, the guy created a YouTube video on his YouTube channel. It blew up. He got loads of notoriety from it. Whether that's what he was after or not, I don't necessarily know. But a year later, News Nation has done a deep dive into this situation, interviewing Angel once again, and also getting someone who is a crime scene specialist to analyse the footage to really kind of survey what went on. And we're going to be diving into that right now. So the first thing is the new interview with Angel himself.
What happened in Vegas not stay in Vegas. It circled the known universe. The frenzy grew when reports surfaced that unknown authorities had afterwards placed cameras around this family's home. The family was driven into hiding, off the grid, out of sight, underground. But 10 months later, the mystery lives on, and looky-loos and alien hunters are still on the prowl. The family posted no trespassing signs, but break-ins have been reported frequently here, as recently as last week at this home. Tonight, a News Nation exclusive, the teenager who made that 911 call, is finally speaking publicly at length and laying out exactly what he saw that night and what has happened since. Our national correspondent Alex Capriello joins me with that live from Las Vegas tonight.
This is where it gets really interesting because he, like she said there, goes into real depth about not just what happened on the night, but the aftermath as well, which is equally as important.
So, Alex, it's really compelling with the advent of a year passing almost, that they've had a chance to digest what it is they've been through. They have kept quiet. They are not looking for attention. And yet now you're getting information, especially from this 15-year-old or the 17-year-old, that's pretty alarming.
Yeah, and I've found out from speaking to Angel Kenmore that life just really has not been all that easy for the past year since they saw that 10-foot tall creature in their backyard right here behind me. For him, he says that he's plain and simple traumatized by it all. He says he can't sleep at night. He's become slightly paranoid. He cries at night, trying to make sense, heads or tails, of what exactly he saw that night, playing it back over and over in his head. You can imagine the torment that's going through in his head. But to this day, none of the family has a very good explanation about what exactly they saw that night. But to their credit, they've stayed pretty consistent about the facts and the details. I really grilled him about that, trying to get him to remember as much as he possibly could about that night. Here's a portion of our conversation. What do you remember about that night? What do you remember seeing?
Start again, I guess. We were in the backyard fixing the truck, and then out of nowhere we just see a big light fall down and basically crash in the backyard. And moments after, like a couple of seconds after, I saw the big giant creature in front of me. The alien, whatever you guys want to call it. The alien, demon, whatever you guys want to call it.
What do you believe it is?
A demon.
A demon?
Yeah.
So maybe that's changed, that once you thought it was an alien, now you believe it was a demon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, only God knows what it was. But I'm thinking it's like something bad, not a good thing.
Was it moving? Was it doing?
Yes, it was moving. You could see, like, he was breathing, like he was, like pissed off. Like he wanted to do something.
And he was looking at you and your brother?
He was looking at me, yeah.
Did he say anything?
Mm-mm. I remember he was growling like a dog, like he was growling.
When did it end?
As soon as I closed my eyes, I guess. I don't know. I think I was praying or something like that, and they just let me go. That's when I went inside, and I saw my dad. I mean, I saw it too.
It felt like it had a control of your body?
Oh yeah, I couldn't move. Yeah.
You were paralyzed at the sight of this thing.
Yeah, I couldn't move.
And you were looking at it for 30 or so seconds, and then all of a sudden it was gone?
Yeah.
Now, this is really interesting because when I was watching this through the first time, this took me back to a moment when I thought back to a more recent incident, being the Miami Mall incident, right? And I know people are going to roll their eyes and be like, oh, he's on about Miami Mall again. But hear me out. So the traumatizing events and the aftermath of what went on for Angel is truly terrifying. But if you think back to some of the witnesses to the Miami Mall incident, they also had similar demonic, spiritual, paranormal events like sleep paralysis and things like this after seeing these creatures. Now, I've already made a video kind of linking the parallels between the Las Vegas incident and the Miami Mall incident, but this just confirms, I think that there could be a link between the two.
It's pretty creepy.
A lot of people think that that's just hard to believe.
That, like I said again, they can think whatever they want.
What do you say to the people who believe that your family just made this whole thing up to try to get attention?
They can believe whatever they want, I'm not doing it for free. If I did it for fame, I would be on YouTube and stuff like that, doing more videos, but I don't care, guys. I just went on TikTok and YouTube, made my story. That's pretty much it. I made no money off this. I want people to know that. I made no money off this. I don't need money. That's pretty much it. They can believe whatever they want.
I bet you hope it doesn't happen to anybody.
Oh, no, hopefully not, no. I hope God, no. Really bad experience. Really traumatizing.
And that's where it's interesting as well, because he's not chasing fame off the back of this, like he said. He's not made any, and to his credit, he's not made any money off it. And also, the YouTube video that he made, that was literally it. He's not posted anything since. You could have milked the topic, and that's when the red flags would have started pinging up, but he hasn't.
And Ashley, I don't know what your impression of him was, but when I was speaking to him personally, I was really struck by how confident and authentic he was about his memories of that night. There's a lot of people obviously out there in the world that would make up ghost stories in order to chase any sort of clout or fame. But to me, Angel came across as somebody who truly believed that he saw something that night in that backyard right here behind me.
Yeah, Alex, he didn't really seem to have canned answers either. So if this was all a big ruse, he's either a really, really good actor, I mean, Meryl Streep quality, and, you know, he certainly didn't script it, didn't seem to plan out answers, you know, at the grasp. I do want to ask you about the family. You know, this is the 17-year-old finally talking at length about his experience. And boy, did he ever add some details there, that what he saw seemed to be angry and breathing heavily with growling, looking right at his brother and him, and that he felt frozen, which is an account we've heard from other people who have felt that they've seen something out of this world before, that they've been frozen and unable to move. What about the family? Does the family back him?
Yeah, the family does, although they're much less willing to go public about it. I spoke to his mom, who basically said that she has no interest in speaking about it because she just feels differently than Angel. She feels like nobody in the world is going to believe her. Angel, on the other hand, while certainly not trying to publish his case widespread, he feels the need to share it because he wants the world to know what he saw, and also he wants the world to know that his family is doing okay and moving forward. In general, the family wants the spotlight off of them. Take, for example, all these no trespassing signs. There's at least 4 of them. But at this time, they are just basically saying, look, we don't really want to talk about it anymore, but we still stand behind the things that we saw that night.
Thank you for watching.
And that's an amazing recount of what happened. But it goes even deeper because News Nation also got basically an evidence expert to analyse the footage, to really deep dive into it. And what he discovered was absolutely chilling. Take a look at this.
It's one thing to squint at a fuzzy video on YouTube and then decide space aliens do or do not exist. And it's another thing entirely to subject those sightings to the same kind of scientific rigor that puts, say, killers in prison. Scott Roeder is that kind of skeptic. He is an evidence expert and crime scene reconstructionist with 33 years of experience and 1,500 cases to his credit. He is the founder of the Evidence Room, a group that assembles specialists in forensic animation, 3D modeling, and motion graphics. He took a close look at the video that was recorded by that family in Las Vegas, and he applied his technology to try to debunk it. Here he is on his YouTube channel, Crime Scene, discussing what he calls the entity in the family's backyard.
We can take a video and look at whether or not there is an artificial artifact added to it or not. And in this case, we can definitively say, to a degree of scientific certainty, that this entity, this thing in the video, is there in the physical reality in which the Kenmore family is also there. Like, this is so critical because you can clearly see through the slots in the fence that there is a leg motion moving from the right to the left side of the screen. And clearly it is behind there. So this isn't just like a head floating in space. This is a head of that is somehow that does not have full opacity, that the opacity of the head of the shadow is only at about 33% opacity versus a normal shadow, which would be at 100% opacity, or an object in the screen, which is at 100%. And this isn't anything that you did. It's just what you were able to determine, that this shadow being, or this being in the shadows, possibly creating its own shadow or smoky filter or cloaking technique, is not only cloaking itself from the people there, but cloaking itself from the camera itself, in that it's minimizing our ability to identify pixels inside of that shadow.
That is mind-blowing, and it basically confirms that the shadow that we saw, because there was so much speculation about that shadow, was it real, was it not? You know, and it's taken a credible person who has got the credentials to say, yeah, that was actually there in the physical video, like in physical world at the time of recording. That is mind-blowing.
I'm joined now by UFO expert Ben Hansen. He's a former federal agent and now the host of UFO Witness on Discovery Plus. Ben, it's great to have you on the program tonight again. So, I mean, your reaction to what, Scott Roeder did with his analytics, the shadow that you saw that was behind the fence as well as way above the fence. I guess your reaction to all of that.
Well, thanks, Ashley. Yeah, I'm excited because it took a while, I think, for anyone to get a copy of the raw video. I don't personally have it, but I'm glad that Scott has done this. I don't detect anything overt as a red flag that I would say that made me suspect that it was edited. So I concur with him on that. And it also appears that there is some sort of shadow that's present behind the slats of the fence, which he pointed out. And then you have kind of a head, it looks like, at the top of the fence. Where I kind of feel it might be a jump is people online then started to say, well, this is evidence of a cloaking creature of some sort. There is a lot going on in the video. If you look, there's 2 or 3 different light sources. And anytime you have that happening, you can have a lot of shadows from different angles. So unfortunately, we'll never have the same exact circumstance where we can go back and test it to see what might be causing a shadow effect.
Now, I completely agree and concur at the same time, because the shadow, you can see the shadows if you just take a look up here of the people. Like, you can see glimmers of the shadow there, like off the branches. But this shadow comes in and it's completely different. Different height, different density, different shape. Like, it's not contorted at all. It's just there. Look at it.
A shadow effect.
Look. Completely different. And nobody moves to make this happen, if that makes sense. And it doesn't also like compensate for the shadow seen between the slats of the fence.
One aspect of it, and I'm not sure if our producers can just let the video go, but when they walk in past the gate, something startles them and they freak out. I mean, for lack of a better description, it's not. There's no way this is acting. Actors don't do it this well. Something startles them to the right, and they spin around and they kind of run out, and the video kind of goes, as it would if you were terrified.
It does, and I think that is genuine. If you look, I think they're looking at something towards the back of the yard, and something spooks them, where I feel that it might be a little bit of, I don't know, call it forensic gymnastics, is to say that it was caused by this thing off to the right, because as you can see right there, that shadow appears on top of the fence, but he's not looking to the right. If this was some sort of entity that was like 3 feet away from him, I think that's what would really scare anybody. So that's where you have these theories that people are saying, well, it's partially cloaked, it's fully cloaked, didn't want to be seen, but only the video picked it up. So I don't know about that. I think just based on the video, though, it's great that we have verification that it's not been edited.
I know you talk about confirmation bias as well. Explain to the audience if how you think that might be working its way into this as an alternative theory.
Well, if you think about it and go back to the original, the whole background of what just preceded this, is you had this really bright object that streaked across the sky, right? And I do believe that now is a meteoroid, and it may have nothing to do with the family's actual sighting. They believe they saw a light come down to their backyard. And there was a lot of light and commotion, noise. And so when they went out to the backyard, they're already adrenaline's pumping. They're hypersensitive to sights and sounds. I'm in no way suggesting that they made anything up, but perception can be skewed now that this is something out of this world we're out to see in our backyard. And then anything that might have a combination of shadows or sights they're not used to, it can be amplified in your visual perception. And this is just a suggestion, but I do feel the witnesses are being credible as far as describing what they saw. And especially look at that reaction when they see whatever it is back there and they come running out of there, and it's affected at least Angel to this day. He still has trouble with what he saw.
Thank you for watching.
So yeah, again, adds to the validity of the video, because there's been people really deep dive into this, and actually this has been going on for a year. This isn't anything new. It's absolutely crazy. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, be sure to jump scare the hell out of that like button, subscribe if you're new, and tick on my little bell so you get notified whenever we upload. And until next time, guys, I hope that you have enjoyed. Cannot wait to see you in the next one, and I will speak to you later. Peace.